Art in Europe entered into a sophisticated phase, a rich phase, well before 40,000 years ago when images began to be painted on the walls of caves in southern and central France and northern Spain. And no one knew of these existences until roughly around 1879. And today that's our conversation is on cave paintings. I think one of the essential questions that is asked is what caused people to paint these images on the walls of caves that have so much drama to them, so much energy to them. There's this idea that human beings have an inherent desire to decorate their surroundings as well as decorate themselves. When we think of the idea of tattooing or just wearing face paint and things like that, that there's an aesthetic sense and somehow innate in all of us. There are those who believe that people create art for the sheer love of beauty, and scientists have come up with the idea that human beings have an aesthetic impulse. But the effort required to accomplish the great cave paintings that we'll be studying suggests that creators were motivated by more than just simple visual pleasure. When we go into the 20th century, there are those who believe that art had a social function, and it was culturally relative. They proposed that cave paintings might be products of both rites to strengthen the clan bonds, or of ceremonial ideas of fertility. You could take people like Salmon Reinach, who came up with the idea of that these paintings were created to express sympathetic magic. The idea, for instance, that a picture of a reclining bison would ensure that hunters would find their prey asleep. Abbe Henri Breuil, my worst French ever, took these ideas a little bit further and concluded that caves were a place of worship and were settings for initiations, for rites, maybe to have a successful hunt. During the second half of the 20th century, those ideas were rejected, reinterpreted. You had Laurent Grand and Lamine Empire. They dismissed the sympathetic magic theory, and because statistical analysis of debris from the human settlements revealed that animals used more frequently for food were not the ones traditionally portrayed in the caves. And when we get down to this, we can come up with tons and tons of theories, but the bottom line to these cave paintings is that we simply don't have an answer. We don't know. So we make up all of these hypotheses and ideas. Even if we don't know, even though we have all these ideas, let's take a look at some art, and we'll start off with one of the earliest known sites, and this is the Chauvet cave paintings, located in southeastern France. This is the most dramatic images depict grazing and running and resting animals, and that would include wild horses, bisons, mammoths, panthers, owls, deers, woolly rhinoceroses, or an ibex, which was also known as a wild goat. And occasionally we would see humans, both male and female, and we would find handprints on the walls. Now there are those art historians and researchers who believe that the handprints came much later on, which is true, and they thought that that might be some form of graffiti, somehow of defacing the wall paintings. We also have geometric markings. We would find grids and circles and dots, and footprints that were left in the soft clay. We have found that they were small children, and they would go to a room containing a bear skull, so there might have been some sort of ritualistic idea behind that too, or some other idea, some other things. Another well-known cave is the Loco caves that were found in 1940. This is a truly remarkable, this is from the Hall of Bulls, and what we have here depicted are cows and bulls and horses and deer along, and what they are doing is that they're kind of running along or walking along the natural ledge of the rock, where the smooth white limestone of the ceiling and the upper wall sort of meet the rougher surface below. It was almost a decision by the artist to kind of use that as a ground line. We have animals appearing in this sort of singular row, face to face, tail to tail, and even painted on top of one another, maybe to give a sense of depth. Horns and eyes and hooves are shown as seen from the front, yet the bodies are rendered in profile in a system that every art history student should know vocabulary wise, and that is the composite pose. The painters worked not only in this large cavern, but they also worked as far back too into some of the smaller chambers. And how did they pull this off is that they used small stone lamps that have been found, and over 100 lamps have been found in the cave system here. And what they would do is that they would create what's called a fat lamp, and they would use animal fat, and then we would put reeds into it. And 1 pound of animal fat could burn up to 24 hours and produce no soot that would stick to the roof of the cave. And the light would have been strong enough, that of a candle. Might have been a little bit brighter too. One of the most iconic and probably one of the most discussed discoveries in the Loco Cave was found in sort of a remote setting on a wall at the bottom of a 16-foot long shaft. The scene is very unusual because it's the only painting in the cave complex that seems to tell some sort of narrative, some sort of story, and it's stylistically way different from what we just looked at in the last slide, from all the other paintings in Loco. What we have is a figure. We know it's a man. We see his biological form there. And is he a hunter? We don't know. And he's greatly simplified in form. If you compare that to the bison, there seems to be a definite anatomy to the bison. You can see the fur, but our man is so rendered so like stick figure-ish in a way. We also have, so we call him the bird-headed man. And we have a great bison that looms over him. And if you look to the left down to the bottom, you'll see his staff, or a baton, or possibly a spear of some sort. And it's now broken in half. Now, is this man hunting and he's capturing himself a bison? Is the bison lying on the ground and the man is over the top of him? Is he disemboweling this bison? We don't know. Is the bison going to die soon? We really don't know because of the way that this painting makes us think. To the left of the cleft in the wall, a woolly rhinoceros seems to be running off in the distance. So maybe something got captured here. But I guess there's an important question of why did the artist portray the man, again, like a stick-like figure, and the bison is rendered with a good level of accuracy? The other question we ask is this a story? Is this something real? Is this mythical? Is this the battle of good versus evil, man versus the environment? Is it a record of an actual event? Or could it be just simply a vision? We don't know. Again, because we don't know enough about, we don't have any written record regarding these wall paintings. Since their discoveries, or the beginning of their discoveries in 1879, few people believed that the works that we just looked at could have been made by, quote, primitive people. And of the time, the scientific community declared the paintings to be a hoax. But as time has gone by, we have found that these paintings were truly created by artists of the time, and because more were discovered over time. What are some of the themes we can walk away with this and utilize if we were doing an FRQ? We're talking about animals as sacred, memories, and human interactions with environment. And these are all very good themes to kind of put into our art history essays, or if we're studying for AP Art History exams, these are some of the themes that you might see. I hope this video helped you out.